All right. Hi, and welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. Y'all, it has been quite a week. Since the last time I saw y'all, my life has had many changes. We have a wonderful guest tonight, Dr. Green. Um, I'm sorry, I have to send her info to Ken. Um, so much has happened in my life. A lot of things have changed, but for us, it's for the better. And I say that because um, look at your phone. I sent you a text. Please call that person, Ken, and I'll just keep talking. And when she come on, we'll transfer her on. Okay, please. So yeah. So I'm sorry, y'all. Please forgive me for this. We have a little technical difficulty. Yeah, so a lot has happened in my life. I'll have more time. We're going to be doing more things. Um, we we understand after tonight. We're going to understand fully. Um, we're going to understand fully about, not fully, but we're going to understand more about where we need to take where we need to take help her get on, Ken. Um, so we're going to understand some things more. I've been reading, I've been studying, but I've been paying attention. And we have call to actions. We have call to actions, and yeah. So let me tell y'all, we've been having calls to actions, but I believe that as we go to calls to actions, we will understand protests. Our world has become um, so engrossed in self and things that we're not understanding. Even if we go to the protests, even if we go out there, we don't have a clue of what's going on. We don't have a clue of what's going on. So, okay, we don't have a clue of what's going on. So I'm so sorry. Um, Ken, could you play the intro 2 times? So I'll be right back after the intro. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious, a freedom ride where we the people gather to build ourselves, our family, our community, and our nation. For the sound of America for Progress has reached critical mass. Understanding that we must put aside our differences to focus on the greater good. This is a place of collaboration to rebuild and restore our nation. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious. Welcome to A Moment with Vivacious, a freedom ride where we the people gather to build ourselves, our family, our community, and our nation. For the sound of America for Progress has reached critical mass. understanding that we must put aside our differences to focus on the greater good. This is a place of collaboration to rebuild and restore our nation. Welcome to a moment with Vivacious. Hey y'all, hey, how are you?
I'm awesome, and I'm sorry about that. I came in through my phone because I couldn't get in through my laptop. But I'm so sorry. Thank you for having me.
It's let me tell you, it's a state of emergency.
Yes.
And for a while, I have been telling my audience is America. That my goal is to have everybody tune in, everybody understand, people with different opinions coming together to one understanding. And that's the only way we're gonna win if when we become a part of the narrative. I was so
Yeah.
excited to meet you. Let me say that first. And my granddaughter is my technician tonight. And I told her I couldn't wait for her to meet you because you're such an inspiration for young girls. And the things y'all do, when y'all get to be doctors and y'all doing the things that you're doing, it make us old ladies so proud. But so I just want to say thank you, and I want to congratulate you to the world on your doctorate and the things you're doing to raise young girls way high.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That is so kind. Yes, that was a long road. But it was a good journey. I won't say it got really hard around the end. But when you're passionate about something, and I knew, like it was a goal that I had for a long time. I went after my son went off to college. I decided I had more free time. I would go, and I took me about 7 years nonstop, with coursework, studying for comprehensive exams, and then writing a dissertation and defending. So yes, I am a newly minted PhD scholar activist, from out of the political science department at Clark Atlanta University, and I'm really excited about it. It was a goal that I meant I was going to accomplish, and I got it done. So I'm proud of myself. So thank you
And in
so.
the, I'm sorry, and in the midst of helping so many other people accomplish their goals.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I love to see young black girl magic just flying high. And thank you for all you do. And thank you for tonight because our nations are in a crisis. 10 years ago, when I started Vivacious Speaks, I started off with the sound of America for progress has reached critical mass. And every time I think it's gone higher, at 10 years ago, it was nothing compared to what it is today. And I believe that we needed you tonight because I even spoke to my godson tonight and he said, Nanny, that's those people's stuff. And I thought to myself, boy, you better, I didn't think to myself, I told him, you better tune in tonight.
Yeah.
Because when we understand what you're going to give us tonight, we're going to have a better understanding why we have to become a very intricate part of the narrative in order for it to be our narrative and for our
Yes.
lives to go on. So,
Yes.
first, I want you to tell us a little about you. I'm all excited about you. And then tell us why it's important for us to have this conversation tonight.
Okay. Well, I am a political scientist. I have been working. I am at the the W.E.B. Du Bois Southern Center for Studies in Public Policy, and I'm the domestic policy coordinator there. And that means that I oversee all domestic policy. We are a what you would call a policy think tank, but for Black people in the South. So we look at whatever public policy impacts Black people in the South. We interrogate it. We make sure that we bring awareness and understand how it will impact Black people. We also have an international side that is ran by Dr. Hashim Jabril, and that looks at the global South. So um, I've been there about 2 years. I worked there previously. Maybe 20 years ago. I guess it's been years, almost 20 years ago. I worked there about 19 years ago. I left and I was there for about 6 years. And while I was working, I was an undergrad when I started, then graduate school. And I went out into the public sector and I worked in public policy. I worked for different think tanks. I worked at Georgia State University and I was at in public health and mental health. And I became the mental health promotion director of the state of Georgia. And the reason and about I left that position about 2 years ago. And the reason why I did that is because it was at a time when public policy was meeting public health. And we knew that a lot of things had to be done at a higher level to make community wide change. So that's when they needed people with the public policy experts that had that understanding of how to write policy, what policies were necessary, and how do we make changes in whole communities. So I left and came back to academia about full time about 2 years ago. I am a professor at Clark Atlanta University in the political science department. I'm an adjunct professor, and as well as, yes, I am the domestic policy coordinator. I also have a consultant and nonprofit called Her Story Is Mine. And that is all about curating space for and bringing awareness for Black women and girls. And so with that, we do consulting work and we also do work to help Black women and girls thrive. So I have my co-founder, Carlin Wooten Scott, and myself. We work on Her Story. We have events. We have what we call a Mother Work Summit, where we come together and talk with Black women who do mothering and mother work, and it's like a whole conference. We have that coming up in California at the end of April, where there is like a whole day full of just awareness, advice, experts coming in talking Black maternal health, postpartum issues, anything dealing with Black mothers. And I also have we also have coming up in California and Atlanta, we have a intergenerational brunch so that Black women can talk, mothers and daughters, grandmothers, different generations can have a conversation over brunch just about what our differences are, what we're thinking, because we believe in intergenerational conversations that Black women need to pass down things to younger Black women to keep us going, right? And keep us understanding. Um, so that is what I do in a nutshell.
So let me ask you this. This is all the way off, but I'm not gonna stay there. I'm just gonna ask this one
Oh,
question, and then we're gonna,
yes.
because our topic tonight is essential.
Yes.
If a white mom has Black children, is she welcome?
Um, I'm not gonna say that she's not welcome. No, our space is for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And because black mothering is extremely unique, right? I actually wrote my thesis on theorizing Black women's political identity and activism from Claudia Jones to Black Lives Matter, and my thesis was heavily on Black mothering and the uniqueness and of Black mothering in a racial state. America is a racial state, and we know that Black women suffer from intersectionality, which is our triple threats. It's been coined a lot of different things over the years by different Black feminists and different Black women. Kimberly Crenshaw coined it in about the 1980s, the late 1980s, intersectionality, where our um, gender, race, and class caused oppression to us. Correct. So
Mm-hmm.
we look at Black mothering as a very unique subject in um in America. When you live in a racialized state where your children and your motherhood is unseen, and your children are treated differently because of race and because of the institution, because of structural racism and institutionalized racism. I think
Mhm.
that I'm not going to say that a white mother is not welcome, but I think that this is a sacred space for Black women to discuss our
Mhm.
issues and to discuss the uniqueness of our issues. The Despair, I was at the Capitol today in Georgia. We went over to stand in solidarity with Sister Song and some other groups because of HB 441, which is a policy to ban all abortion in Georgia. No matter if the savior saving the mother, no matter if what it's criminal, and it's criminalizing abortion and basically criminalizing miscarriage, because you will not be able to tell if a woman had a miscarriage or an abortion, right? It's not possible for you to tell that at all. So one thing that I had to discussion, I did an interview for one of the news sites, the and I talked about the disparities. Black women have way too many maternal health disparities. We're unseen, and we have our numbers are way too high, especially
Yes.
and so when it comes to maternal mortality and when it comes to maternal health, and so thus we need this reproductive justice. That's what my shirt says today. I'm a reproductive justice voter, and I wore this to the Capitol today. And so I had that discussion, and that's one of the reason why I say the space is really sacred and built for Black mothers, because we we need to have those conversations. We need to have those truthful conversations. I have those truthful conversations at different workshops where I tell my own story of being a young Black mother and trying to conceive or having miscarriages and stillborns and not being seen. So, and not my the care that I was receiving was not the same. And at this stage, I've seen the policies that have came out over the years. Had that been me back then when I was having those issues, I probably would have gotten very sick, because it's, like I've had the times, and just to be honest, I was 10 weeks pregnant, and I guess the I was miscarrying, went to the doctor, the baby passed away at 6 weeks, or the baby had stopped, the heartbeat had stopped at 6 weeks. Now that's very young, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was it was it was too early to do anything about it. But the fact is, for 4 weeks I was pregnant with a baby with a no heartbeat. So had I not been able to get what they call the abortion pill from the doctor, I could have possibly got sepsis. So, and who knows what
And
have
any
happened.
doctor would have been afraid to give you an abortion because for
They
your
can,
baby, was deceased because they didn't want to go to jail,
yeah.
and then
And
you would have had a jail sentence.
Capitol, there was an IVF doctor who, a Black woman who discussed that, and who had time to talk. Now it was packed. We were outnumbered today. I will say that it was a lot of people there on the other side or the opposition, and wanted them to vote yes to this bill. And she talked about the fact that she had several miscarriages, and that's the reason why she's a doctor, she started this IVF clinic. And she said, you can't tell me that a single cell is more important than the children that I have alive. And just thinking about, like what Black women have to go through to give birth, right? And to survive giving birth. Our Mother Work Summits are really, really sacred. And Black motherhood is really sacred to me, because in this country, since 1619, Black motherhood has been I guess a up and down situation for America, right? In the beginning, while it was treated horribly, and Black women were seen as genderless, and they were treated, I mean, absolutely horrid, and throughout raped throughout slavery, used to produce the workers for slavery, right?
Right.
And once it was seen that um, they could bear children, and they were continuously raped or breeded, and for economic gain in this country. And then as time goes on, and I talk about this in my dissertation, as time goes on, it changes, right? Then you have you come up with the Monahan report and different things about the drain of Black mothering, what Black mothers have done to this society, and when they've had too many children, and now their children are criminals, or this. It's just so sad what we've seen with Black mothering throughout this country. But one thing we do know is that Black women have saved this country over and over and over again, right? And Black women have saved democracy. So um, we can talk about Black mothering, but we need to have these sacred spaces, and we need to make sure that we understand what Black mothers have been up against in this country, and that's being having to raise children in a very racialized state. That's part of the dissertation talks about Black mothers who have lost their children to state violence and vigilante violence. So I interview a Black mother who lost her child in state prison in Georgia. I also I met Trayvon Martin's mother. I go through Lucy McVeigh's story about which she is a congresswoman in Georgia, or which she's Jordan Davis's mother. And then I go through Kimberly Crenshaw's campaign, because I go through Black Lives Matter, go through Kimberly Crenshaw's campaign, Say Her Name, where I look at Breonna Taylor's mother. I went to Dr. Crenshaw, invited me to some of the press conferences and some of the conversations. And I went through some of the releasing of her book, Say Her Name, and look at what Breonna Taylor's mother went through, what Sandra Bland's mother went through, what Michelle Crusoe's mother went through, as their children were unseen as they were killed. So I take Black motherhood very sacredly, and I don't know if I would allow anyone who does not identify as a Black woman or a Black mother in that space, or identifies as doing a Black woman who does mother work.
Yes. So let me. I want to talk about that, but I'm gonna go. I want to go to public policy.
Okay. All right.
Because that is a very sacred conversation, and I have somebody who's it's a horrible story, but I have somebody I want you to connect with as far as that's concerned.
Okay. All right.
And so really our conversation that we were having is not separate. And please come back and talk about that again
Yes.
so we can
Yes.
have an entire conversation. Um,
Yes.
Public policy.
Mm.
So it was public policy. They were there today trying to yeah, Lord, wow.
Yeah. So public policy is my thing. That's I think that public policy, and I Stacey Abrams, I had the Black Women and Public Policy in the South Symposium, which I thank you because you donated for two students to come. So thank you so much. I had a symposium. It was over the last 2 days, and Stacey Abrams was the keynote yesterday, and she gave a great speech. It was just amazing. But she discussed what public policy does, right, and what
Mhm.
public policy can do. She said, and one thing she said that I really resonated with the crowd and resonated with me was that public policy is like reimagining, because we already know what the past is, right? So public
Yeah.
policy is writing in the future. So, what do we want to see our future like? We can pass policy and legislation to see what our future is like. Now, just to break down public policy a little bit, it refers to a system of laws and regulations, right? And different actions, decisions by governance that when there's a problem in society, when there's a problem in community, and the reaction, we have to figure out what to do about that problem. So then public policy is created. It can be created on different levels. You have laws, you have regulations, you have programs and initiatives, and you have decisions. And there's policy at your job, right? Wherever you work,
Mhm.
there's going to be some type of policy. There's policy at the state level, there's policy at the federal level, there's policy at the city level, right? There's also regulations. You regulate you have regulations as to food, water, products that you use, and air pollution, things like that, environment. So public policy is all throughout our lives. So it's extremely extremely important. And it's important for the Black community to know exactly what public policy is and how it's impacting your life, because this matters as to who you vote for, right? Whether you work somewhere and there's a union, how can you change policy where you work at? So it really matters to know what's going on. One thing that we do at the Policy Center, we have the Georgia Legislative Review. And each year for that Georgia Legislative Review, we look at the policies that the Georgia legislature, whether they passed or not, if they were introduced and they would have some impact on blacks in Georgia, we make sure to look at that policy and really interrogate that policy and give awareness to it and also recommendations. So I think so, not just, well, let me say this. Also, we, beyond the policy, we grade the legislators every year, because the legislators that are making that policies and that are voting for those policies and aligning themselves with those policies, you need to know who those people are and whether you need to vote them out, right? Are is what they are voting for or
Excuse me.
creating.
So is a policy and a law the same thing?
Yes, basically. Public policy and legislation are basically the same thing. A law is once public policy is put into law, right? So once it's put into governance, once it's addressed, whether it's healthcare, education, housing, environmental, whatever it may be, once it's put written,
Abortion.
once it's, yeah,
Mhm.
abortion, maternal health, what else? It could be it could be LGBTQIA plus rights, whatever it is. Once it as it's written into policy and put in, so the way it works in Georgia, let's talk about the state level. Once it goes to both committees, what it goes to the House and the Senate,
Yeah.
and or I'm sorry, both chambers, it goes to different committees. Like today, that abortion bill was sitting in a committee, and nothing will probably happen. I mean, well, nothing is going to happen. It's too late in the session. We only have about 5 more days of the session. So it's too late for anything to happen, but it could come up next year. So that's what made it important. We needed to stand in solidarity and be there for those committee members, because and I said this on Atlanta News First when they came and talked to me. I said, well, let's talk about Black maternal health. Let's talk about how this policy would, we already know that the 6 week abortion ban that Georgia has killed women, right? And impacted
Mhm.
Black women disproportionately. We already
Mhm.
know that Black women are extremely harmed from Black maternal health and access to health now. So and this is the fight about reproductive justice. So when
Mhm.
we look at something like a full out abortion ban, we know that's going to affect Black women and impact Black women and young Black women. So now is the time to stand in solidarity and make sure they know, no, this is unacceptable, so that when it comes up for a vote next year, we're there again and we're calling our legislators. Because what happens is once a policy goes through both chambers and the House and the Senate, and then it's voted on, if it is voted on and it becomes it's voted in favor and it's voted into, you get enough votes to pass it, then once the governor signs it, it goes into law. So that's when it
Okay.
becomes legislation.
Mhm. So we need to be in when it's being developed. We need
Yes.
to be in, get in when it's policy. So tell me this. So tell me how how do we know what's being discussed? How do we get in
Right.
to that?
So that's hard, right? But we have social media, so you know everything right away, right? We have this internet that tells us a lot. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't give us misinformation, because it does. But if you follow the right people, if you are concerned about your community, follow your legislators. Follow your legislators on social media, go to their websites, because they're going to talk and they're going to put up information. Park Cannon was speaking the day before yesterday at the symposium, and Park Cannon is also a doula, right? So she
Mhm.
helps deliver babies and helps Black women get through labor, right, and get through their pregnancies. So and she really she has a lot of background in reproductive justice. So she spoke on a reproductive justice panel at the symposium day before on Monday, and
Mhm.
that she said it right then and there. They're trying to pass this bill, HB 441, and people needed to get there. So and make sure that they stand and call their legislators and say no to this bill. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has direct connection, but find out who your legislators are. Find out who your senators are. Find out who your congressmen are. Find out who your local elections are huge. Local officials are huge. Find out who your city council members are. Find out who is the city council member in your district. Who is the commissioner in your area? Who is the congresswoman, state and local? Who is your federal person, your congressperson and your senate. And you can follow their websites. You can follow organizations. If you want to know about like if you want to know more about public policy, you can follow us. If you want to know more about reproductive justice, different laws, ACLU, there's so many people, working family parties, there's so many organizations that you can follow on social media just to learn more about it, that are going to be truthful and honest, and not a whole bunch of stuff you don't understand. Because when you go to, I'm not going to send people to the Georgia website, the Georgia General Assembly. It's confusing to read. I read laws all the time. I read legislation all the time. That's a bit confusing. You need someone who's tracking it, who knows what they're doing, and you can just go to their site or go to their social media and understand it more, right? It will break it down and make it plain so you'll know, oh, they're trying to do this, where it's not legal jargon. So that's what I would say. Start with trying to find the easiest ways to get closer to the people who are making changes in policy about your life and your communities.
And I would admonish you to become a part of that. So in a few days, we're going to find out all of the laws that
Yeah,
started off with public policy that they're passing here in Georgia that has affected our lives that we had no clue.
right. Yeah, we will.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying yes, we will. The legislation, the this legislation session will be over in about 5 days, and we will see what dies in committee or what moves forward. Yeah.
But the sad part about it is there may have been some important things, and I'm speaking to
Mm-hmm.
general public that was important to us. And that's why it's very important for us to hear this now. Yes, that's ending in 5 days. So we can go at the end and find out what laws were passed and when they'll come into effect.
Yes.
But we'll also find out some laws that didn't pass or that sat there and that's going to sit there and probably come up next year.
Yes. Some of them
And
will come here and there'll be a battle, and some of them just die in committee and don't come back. Now we yes, it is. I would say, like I said, we do a publication called the Georgia Legislative Review every year, and we put it in plain language. This is what happened. This is how your person voted. This policy would have done this, even if it dies, right? If the policy does not make it out of committee. But we want you to know what this policy could have done for Black people. So it's time for you to call your legislator and say, hey, this policy didn't pass, but this could have helped us, right? Time for you to, but like, exercise your rights, because every day at this moment our rights are being taken away from us. We are in critical times. We're in survival mode. We are at war because our rights are being taken away from us daily by the administration that is in office right now.
because we don't know them. It's because we don't know the rights that they're taking them away. And like I said, I heard today, oh, that's them people problem. Fight. We need to stay out of it. No, we dying the whole time. The
No,
future for our children is dying the whole time. We have to fight.
And I want people to understand, like, almost every amendment to the Constitution was a fight by Black people, right? We've had to fight for everything. We've had to fight for each one of those amendments. We've had to fight to be seen in America. And just to speak words of Stacey Abrams yesterday, we need to make them give us the promise of 1776, right? Give us the promise of that document and what the Constitution says about our rights, and not take it from us. And like I said, Black people have basically fought for every amendment of the Constitution. Every fight that we've seen, Black people have been at the forefront as far as when it comes to rights in this country. So therefore, this is nothing new to us. We've been here before. It looks different, but it's still a fight for civil. It's still a fight for the rights that are given to you as a citizen in this country. So yes, um, nope, it's not anyone else's problem. It's ours. We're gonna have to fight for these rights, especially when Black women are truly under attack, and education is under attack. Our livelihoods, workers' rights, workers are being fired. I mean, this is going to trickle down. We've already seen in Georgia where we have what they call a bill that looks like a Doge bill, where they're trying to cut government spending and fire workers and change different policies. We've already seen in Georgia last session they introduced a bill that would criminalize librarians for um, for giving out books that could be considered harmful or on a banned books list. So we're talking about criminalizing librarians at this point, right? So there's already laws that we see that are mimicking Project 2025 way before President the new president was elected, way before Trump came into office. There were policies introduced out of 2025, such as policies on protesting, changing what it looks like, changing basically, they're changing what the First Amendment looks like and the freedom to speech. Protesting is being changed, and there were bills in Georgia that were passed with last year with the bail bill, cash bail, that stemmed from protesting. And that was an issue with protesting because they don't want people to pay people's cash bills. I mean, pay people's bills for protesting. Protesting they're trying to outlaw protesting. So they're trying to take away freedom of speech. We've had um we've had protesting in this country, and one of our rights is to protest. When we see wrong being done, we should protest. So and protesting looks different in a lot of different forms, but it is our right. So our rights are under attack. So it's not time. I know that we're tired. I know that this election was rough on us, this last election, but we're going to come up on midterms, and we're coming up on different governor's races across the country. In Georgia, there's going to be a huge governor's race. We're coming across on making sure that these people who are in office now, who are allowing our rights and not stand to be attacked and not standing up, it's time to get them out of office. It's time to make change. And we know we have to fight because this is war. We're being attacked. There's no
Exactly. And if I can say this, we fight for rights, we get the rights, and other people um, uh, profit more
I
from the
was going
rights we fought for than us. Just like DEI, we weren't the main people that was affected by DEI. Probably the people that got their jobs by DEI, and statistics say white women were the most people that had DEI jobs. They probably let them stay on their job. They stayed on that DEI job while other people around them were fired. We fight, and we have to learn how to fight and protect it. We have to put ourselves in the game.
yeah,
We have to stop ignoring this. I'm sorry.
and I want to say, yeah, one of the theme of the Black Women in Public Policy in the South Symposium this year was When and Where I Enter. And we took that from our ancestor, Dr. Anna Julia Cooper, one of the first few Black women to receive a PhD in this country. And she wrote a book, A Voice from the South. And she talks about when and where Black women enter, the whole race comes behind them. Because Black women and girls are the most marginalized in this country. So if we make policy that change, or we make progress with Black women and girls, everyone benefits. Everyone, because we're the most marginalized. So yes, most of the time, even if we go before DEI and we talk about affirmative action, right?
Hmm.
Affirmative action helped
The right
white,
to vote. I'm
right?
sorry.
Well, and Black women didn't get the right to vote in this country until 1964, right? So understand, this is not these are very new. Like my mother's generation, and I think about this, didn't have full citizenship because they didn't have the right to vote. My mother was born in 1955. My mother was born the year Brown versus Board happened. So I have to say, yes, if we whenever we change something, or Black people receive something, especially Black women, and we have a progress or a move, then therefore the rest of everyone else has that progress.
Hmm.
And these rights that are being taken from us, just like DEI. DEI it's funny that this administration talks so much about DEI when they put the most unqualified people into these positions, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
we know being Black in America, in order to be, you have to be three times better to get certain positions. You have to work and work and work. And we understand that. So we know that we're more than qualified, overly qualified for most positions we have, overly qualified.
Yes.
Vice President Harris was overly qualified. So we're not just receiving jobs because of DEI. DEI is about equity, right? DEI is about inclusion. It's about diversity. It's about making sure that people receive what is due to them. It's about
Right.
equity. This has nothing to do with getting in a job just because you're Black, because we know that Black people have to work three times as hard to get any position there is.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why it's going to be important for us to become more community,
Yeah,
so we can know what do we need in our community and
hmm,
bring our needs to the table. You know, we must become comrades now. What do we need in our community? And you can walk up and in some neighborhoods and hear all the complaints and then say, well, tell me, what does this neighborhood need?
right.
You don't
Yeah,
know because
we need.
I'm.
I've been thinking we need to be more in community. We need to.
Mhm.
I say this at the university I work at. We need to bring the universe. We need to bring community more to the university, right? And that's the reason why I could hold this policy forum that we have, this symposium on Black women anywhere, but I hold it at the community because the community needs to come more into the university.
Mhm.
But I do think that, and we talk about this a lot, we need to have
Exactly.
forums, we need to have conversations, we need to go into the communities at this point, because there are other ways that we can help, not just through we policy is ways that we can help, definitely, but we got to figure out at local levels, not just at the, because we see what's happening at the federal level, right? We see what's
Mhm.
happening at the federal level, and that may be a little hard right at this moment, but at the local levels we got to figure out how we can help people. We have to figure out how we can help these federal workers that are losing their jobs. We have to figure out how people who are, when all is said and done and all of these things are cut off, right? People are, they just slash maternal health across the board. So a lot of the maternal health programs that were for Black women have been slashed. That happened last weekend, right? We see that in Georgia, not wanting to give EBT to students over the summer who normally get food from school when they're in school, right? So
Right.
we need to figure out how to get these wins at the local levels and the state levels. And we need to figure out exactly what policy we need and talk to. I agree with you. We need to be a community more, talking to our neighbors, asking our neighbors, making sure that there is space and curated space to talk to people and find out what are their needs. How can we do this? And to help people understand how vital and pivotal of a time we're in so that they understand what's going on when you vote, what's happening when you don't understand or you don't vote. So yes, there's crucial, but I say that, yeah, we're at a pivotal time and we have to figure out how we come out of this. But I do believe that community is a way, and being in community with each other and making sure to assist with each other and bring awareness to everything that we need to know.
Right. And I'm in healthcare, so it's been privatized.
Yes.
Right before our eyes, it's privatized.
Hmm.
You see Piedmont or Emory on everything.
Yeah.
If you find a little independent clinic in the, you might just get something you need, but everything else follows a rule. Patient get 20 minutes, they get this. I lost a job because I just could not see that.
Yeah.
This person needed help. You know, this person, they kept looking over him and over him, and I let him sit in the office, and he didn't go in. Finally, I got a doctor to see him. She said, "Okay, I'll see him on my lunch break," and I'm not gonna even tell the facility we were in, but
Mm,
she said, "I'll see him on my lunch break if he wait. If
mm,
you're willing to give up your lunch break, I'll give up my lunch break." I said, "I give up my lunch break."
right.
So during that lunch break, she went reading, and the man had cancer that they
Mm,
had overlooked because of these visits. You get 5 minutes, you get 20 minutes. Your
right.
whole visit is 20 minutes, a 20-minute block. So
Hmm.
she found where this man was diagnosed with cancer.
Hmm.
And because it was the facility's error, she was able to finagle him to be able to stay there today, to get into oncology, and to start care because it was months ago.
Oh wow. Wow.
And the other day at work, Lisa, well, one of the nurses said, "Well, our jobs won't be affected because we're nurses." I said, "Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how our jobs are going to be affected." And we have to begin to think, and I'm saying this even if we think where we are. You know, if you think about where you are, Medicaid is going to be almost demolished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the patients that come into the crisis center don't even have insurance, and
Right.
it's covered by a special mental health program.
Hmm.
It's going to be demolished. So
Yeah.
we won't have patients in this
Exactly.
facility because they won't have money. The
Exactly.
few patients that have money to pay it. So uh, what's going to happen, you're going to be stuck. Like my girlfriend, I said, you have all of these personal care homes. When they cut off that money, if they get what they want, and this is why we have to learn and understand public policy and understand how to put our voices in motorizing it when it's um, public policy. So by the time it get to the legislature, it's empowered by the people. It's the
Exactly.
power of the people coming before them. And
Yeah.
and that's why I'm it's so very important. I wish I could hug you right now to say thank you for being here.
Yes.
Because there's some things that we have to fight. And here in Georgia, we were one of the states that didn't take the federal
It's
money
Medicaid. Yeah.
from
And
for
that
Medicaid.
has
So it's
caused-
gonna even be worse.
but that has caused so much damage either way. Like that's one of the reasons why now we're seeing HIV back on the rise, right? That's one of
Hmm.
the reasons why we're seeing more deaths. That's the not taking the Medicaid expansion has harmed especially Black people, but it has harmed people. It has caused hospitals to fail and caused hospitals to close, losing access to care. Like all of this has happened due to not taking those Medicaid expansions. And now we're in this dire need for hospitals in Georgia. We're in this dire need for access to care in Georgia. And not taking a Medicaid expansion is just cruel. It's causing health disparities. And it's something that should be a stain on the governor's legacy. But
But
we will,
it's one of his trophies. And
yeah.
then
It,
when you
that,
when you take the Medicaid away, where do the people who have Medicaid live?
right.
All of those hospitals and clinics were gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just using that because that's where I am and that's what I understand.
But
But
that's
just
true. That's a matter of public policy. Like I write about the Medicaid expansion a lot. I talk about the Medicaid expansion a lot because we lost that. We are now seeing higher rates of HIV. We should have HIV under control now.
and
Should be
tuberculosis.
seeing higher rates of HIV at this moment, and we're seeing it because of that or death from HIV or AIDS complications. We shouldn't be seeing those things at
When
this.
it was dissipating, when we had people on Medicaid and
Yeah,
they come up, I mean medication, and they come up with nothing, and now
yeah.
and it's only going to be worse.
And we're seeing our hospitals being flooded and the people in our hospitals, the workers, the staff, the administration, the nurses, the doctors, everyone's being overworked because of the lack of hospitals we have and the closing down of medical centers and hospitals because we did not take this Medicaid expansion.
And then so many people are discharged sick.
Yeah.
They're
So
laying
yeah,
them on the side of the road, put them across the street. They can't stand here because it's big business. We must begin to understand and get in to the public policy. And that's why I want to tell everybody it will behoove us to find out which laws are going over next year and
yes,
push some things. How can we, if we were a community and we say, well, we want our Medicaid, we want Medicaid back. We're not making enough money to pay for insurance, or the insurance that we afford on our job don't cover anything, or we just don't have nothing because we don't have a job.
hmm,
How, and that's just one example. Like I said, I'm stuck on my side. But
oh yeah.
how do we begin to push the issues that we need in our community?
So one way we push is through the people who represent us, right? We have to
Hmm.
constantly be in their ears. We have to constantly talk with them, constantly picking up the phone, calling them, having awareness and forums throughout the community, letting people know what's going on. I tell you what I will do once we finish the Georgia legislative review, we're getting ready to release the status of Black Atlanta. But once we finish the Georgia legislative review for 2025, I would love to come back on and give
Absolutely.
a synopsis of what happened, right? The bills that
Mhm.
are impacting us as Black people, and make sure that I give that information out. So I'd love to come on and give a synopsis of what that what we come out with.
And where do we go from here? How do we, the things that we need to be fighting about, the things
Recommendation.
that we're going to have to commute, we're going to
Yes,
have to bring our communities together.
yes,
As soon as we get off of this tonight, I'm going to immediately put money to publish it, to spread it out. This needs to go around. So we must come together as a community and
yes,
find out what our community needs. Some of it we're gonna have to become what our community need, and
yes,
some of it together we can come and we can write. Right? These are
yes,
the things that we need. Have everybody's signature, and who's ever leading, go to the leader and say, "Look, our community, 9,999
yes.
people in the community.
Excuse me. And
Even
that's
if they don't come to the meet, I'm sorry."
I said that's organizing, that's mobilizing. Yes, we definitely need that.
and we have to find out what's hanging over from this year, and
Yes,
that's what you're going to help us with.
I
And
sure will.
we're going to be part of the narrative because we're going to get together as communities. Um, we're going. I remember I used to go around. You know how people families live in hotels, and they
Yes.
used to allow me to come and talk and
Hmm.
hold classes. And we're going to need to do some of that too.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
would
not
love to come
working
back.
like I used to, so I can do that. I can do some of that.
So I would love to come back on and give that information. Once I will let you know when it's released, and we'll go through it and we'll talk about the policies, the impact, and what needs to be done. We'll talk about how your legislators, with the different legislators, I can tell you, every Republican legislator last year got an F, because that's how bad the policies were that they either introduced or passed on, or that were passed that they were a part of and voted for. That how impactful they were to the Black community. So I would love for you to have me back and we can talk about that in the future.
When you find out for me, please, and
Hmm.
then um, Ebony just said that you were very informative, and she wants to be involved in some of the things that you do. So
Oh,
when you say you said what y'all can get contact me
yeah.
and tell us who is how do we do that? Contact us. Who is us?
So
Tell us.
contact. I am at like Du Bois Policy Center. So the email. Let me make sure I get it right. I don't want to tell you something that's not correct. You can email me at directly at ngreene dash young young at cau.edu. So that's my direct email. We are also on the Du Bois Policy Center, so there's always we have a website. Y'all,
The
it's
Voice Policy
Du Bois.
Center.
Mm-hmm. Du Bois
Du
D
Bois. Du
I.
Bois. Like
Mm-hmm.
WEB.
Like WEB Du Bois. That's what it is. But it's Du Bois Policy Center. We have our website, all of it's Du Bois Policy Center, our social media, our LinkedIn, all of our social medias. So you can follow me on that. I'm also out. You can also follow me on my social media underscore simply Kia underscore. So underscore SIMPLYKIA underscore. So those are some ways to follow me. Um, and also, so that's the way you can get in touch with me. Definitely email me. You can also follow me at Her Story Is Mine, right? So that's on Instagram and Facebook. Her Story Is Mine, one word, just all together. Her Story Is Mine. You can also email us at Her Story Is Mine, which is one word, Her Story Is Mine at gmail.com. And the website is simply Her Story Is Mine, www.herstoryismine.com. And I'll send that information to you in email if you have a way to share it.
Sure, sure. I'll share it.
Okay.
Um, and that's so. This has been a good time. So we have to decide, guys. We are the ones to create the public policy. I mean, this was so good for me. This was so good. Yes, because we got to do it for ourselves.
Yes.
People power. That's what I push. People power. You have just done it for me. And soon as you know the date that it comes out or it's
Uh,
gonna come out, we can book that
yeah,
Wednesday night for you to
definitely.
come and share it. When everybody's quiet, they're listening. So we didn't get comments, but I can hear people texting me. So the comments may not be working tonight. So I'll make sure I get you all the comments, and if
Get
they have any
any
questions.
comments or questions. I'll be happy to answer questions. Happy for them to email me directly and we can talk about it. Whatever it is, I'm happy. I'm available.
Anybody with questions, is it okay for me to give them your email?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. This has been really good because when you think about all the craziness that's going on, and and then you'll say they broke the law. They broke the law. So now we understand. Well, wait, we'll know what that means. We'll know why they're saying that.
Hmm.
We'll know why they're attacking our favorite representative, our
Yeah,
favorite congresswoman, and she was right the whole time. No, you back off.
exactly.
We can understand what's going on, um, because if we don't project ourselves into some of this on a local, on the state, and on a national level, we have the voice of the people must become the voice of this nation, or we're not going to have a future for our children.
I totally agree. We're at pivotal times. We're at war.
Girl, you don't know my eyes gonna be this big. And you know what? I went to and I'm gonna tell this testimony. I went to the Capitol one day. I was so excited. I had told my friend I was gonna come with her 2 other days, and I went once and with her first, and it was really good. And then when I went again, I was like, this is a mess. But I said that because I didn't know how to project myself in
Hmm.
to turn it all around. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna be ready. I'm gonna be
Yes.
ready. They're gonna get so many letters from me. I call all the time. But I have
Yes.
one representative that never respond and never answer, and then everybody who write her, they say she never answer. I say she
And
better
that's
she better say that.
to be voted out. If
I
she's
said
not
that
dealing
she
with
better.
constituents or not having
The only
conversations.
reason I wouldn't vote her out is because they might get that seat. But she better
Okay.
stay where she at, cause she said she wanna. I heard that. I didn't hear her say I want to run for governor. I heard she wanted to run for governor. She
Oh,
better
but
stay in that seat because the only reason I would keep her in that seat is
another way,
because.
another way, go to her office. Go to the office. There's whether she's federal or state, there's local offices. Go and talk to the people
Hmm.
who work for her and tell her, I've been trying to get in touch with her. This is what I want to talk to her about. And they're gonna get you in touch with her.
Yeah, yeah. This was good. It
Thank
made
you.
it all real. It made it all real, and you know what? We can't be worried about Democratic or Republic. We got to be worried about we the people. We worried about
Yeah,
us. Forget all that other
yeah,
stuff. Y'all keep that game,
yeah,
cause we not playing. We gonna come in and we not playing. We gonna be the power that change things.
yeah. Totally
So what do you
agree.
want to leave us with tonight?
I the same thing I've been saying. Make sure you know who represents you, whether it's at the local level, the state level, or the federal level. Make sure you hold them accountable because you are the one that has the power. Use your power, know your rights, fight for your rights, and hold your representatives accountable.
And
That's
call
what I.
your neighbors and tell them this is our fight. Good
Yes,
night,
call your name.
Sigrid. We're glad you joined in. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. I said, yes, this is our fight. Call your neighbors, come in community, make sure you know who you live next to. Make sure you're talking to people. Yes.
Yes.
And
And
thank you.
Renee says she loves it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
And I hope the comments can come through because I've been hearing my phone go off. So people
Okay.
are probably sending me comments, and I can't look at the phone and talk.
Let
But
me know.
sometimes it acts like that when we're having problems. But thank you so much, Doctor, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.